People often told me I was a loyal and easygoing person. After 2 years together, Chloe fell into one of her signature fits of rage and proceeded to block my number and every social media account we shared. Before she cut off all contact, she delivered a single, chilling instruction. Just pretend I'm dead and leave me alone. I had become accustomed to this pattern. I understood that whenever Chloe initiated this silent treatment, it was merely a pretext for her to go out drinking with her male best friend, Mark, as a way to vent her frustrations. True to form, I didn't react with tears or create a scene. I didn't challenge her on the obviousness of it all. Sometime later, by a stroke of chance, the supposedly deceased Chloe happened to be walking by a local coffee shop, and her eyes landed on me. I was in the middle of a conversation with a strikingly beautiful woman seated beside me, my voice intentionally weak and laced with sorrow. "Ever since my girlfriend passed away," I confided in her, "I've found myself too lonely to sleep through the night." The woman's brow furrowed in sympathy. "Your girlfriend sounded awful," she said gently. "She isn't worth the grief you're holding on to." I let out a heavy sigh, playing my part. What can I do? I suppose I'm just an easygoing and loyal man. I reached for her hand, and she responded with a soft, comforting hug. Through the large, floor-to-ceiling window of the cafe, I could see Chloe's face contort, her expression turning a ghostly white with a rage that was all too familiar. It wasn't until I tried to send Chloe my usual goodnight text later that evening that I confirmed I had been blocked once again. This time, however, felt different. She was genuinely furious. It wasn't just a block on my messaging app. She had systematically severed every digital line of communication between us. Left with no other option, I called her friend, Jake. The background noise on his end was deafening, a cacophony of music and chatter. He stumbled over his words for a moment before his voice, dripping with pity, finally came through clearly. "Liam," he began, "Chloe said to just pretend she's dead and to stop trying to bother her." I simply replied, "Okay," in a calm tone. Immediately after I ended the call, a photo notification from Mark appeared on my phone's screen. The image showed him pressed closely against Chloe, the two of them sharing a single microphone at what looked like a karaoke bar, their proximity undeniably intimate. It was followed by a short video. In it, a visibly intoxicated Chloe was leaning back against a sofa, her eyes closed and her tie loosened. She took a sip from a drink that Mark held to her lips before frowning in annoyance. "Jake, I told you not to answer his calls," she complained, pinching the bridge of her nose. "He's so annoying." Following the video was a message from Mark himself. "Liam, seriously, don't be upset. I've known her for years, and Chloe just has that kind of personality. I'll apologize to you for her." They were all in on it. I was the dependable, easygoing guy who would never leave, the one they could always count on to forgive and forget. I stared at the photo and the accompanying message, a feeling I hadn't experienced before, a distinct spark of impatience flickering within me. I typed back a reply. "Apologize on her behalf? Are you her father or some kind of boy toy?" Mark was clearly taken aback. He must not have expected me, the man who typically absorbed every slight without a word, to actually respond with such sharpness. "Isn't that a bit harsh?" he wrote back. "I was just trying to be nice and offer some comfort." My fingers moved quickly across the screen. "Is getting inappropriately close with someone else's girlfriend your standard method of comforting people?" Mark didn't reply. Less than a minute later, my phone rang, but the caller ID showed it was Chloe using his phone. "Liam, are you finished yet?" she asked, her voice cold and sharp. "Are you planning to harass every single one of my friends before you finally give up?" I maintained my composure. How long is this silent treatment supposed to last this time? I asked. She scoffed into the phone. That's none of your business. You're the one who angered me, so I'll ignore you for as long as I feel like it. Now listen to me, and don't you dare bother me again. Her voice rose to a snap. I said to just pretend I'm dead, okay? Leave me alone. The call ended with an abrupt click. Her immense fury was all because I had been a mere 12 minutes late, bringing her a dessert she had craved. My girlfriend was actively defending the man who was enabling her destructive behavior, yet I felt no surge of anger, no tears welling in my eyes. Instead, I calmly contacted someone else. In a soft voice, deliberately tinged with a mix of helplessness and suppressed pain, I said, Sophie, my girlfriend is dead. What am I supposed to do? Sophie's reply was immediate. Liam, don't panic. Tell me what happened. I saw my opportunity and immediately initiated a call. I was, after all, just a poor, distraught man who had lost all sense of social propriety in his grief. The phone rang 3 times, each ring a small testament to Sophie's slight hesitation, her internal debate. But her fundamentally good nature won out, and she answered. I sniffled for effect, making my voice sound hoarse. Her friend just told me she's gone. Sophie, my heart is completely broken. Sophie sighed, her voice full of genuine sympathy. I pressed my advantage, my tone becoming even more pitiful. Sophie, I'm so sorry. Am I interrupting your work right now? No, she reassured me. I finished up at the office a little while ago. That's good, I said. I would feel terrible if my problems were getting in your way. Liam, she started. But before she could finish her thought, I took a deep breath and spoke in a deliberately lighter tone. Sophie, I won't bother you anymore. I think I'll just go for a walk by myself along the beach. I paused for 1 second, then 2, before letting out a soft, choked sob. Sophie's voice came through the phone as a whisper. Wait, it's late out. I'll come with you. A silent smile spread across my face as I hung up the phone. Suddenly, an unknown number began calling me repeatedly. Several missed calls appeared on my screen, all of them cut short because my line had been busy with Sophie. The anonymous caller, clearly losing their patience, finally resorted to sending a text message with their oh-so-noble fingers. Who were you on the phone with for so long? Hang up and go apologize to Mark. I glanced at the message, feigning ignorance of its origin from Chloe, and tossed my phone onto the sofa. I was preoccupied with selecting an outfit for my walk on the beach. I needed to strike a balance between looking pitifully grief-stricken and handsomely vulnerable. I held a thin shirt in one hand and a white trench coat in the other. Autumn was beginning to settle in, and the evening sea breeze would carry a distinct chill. My fingers tapped thoughtfully on the wooden hanger. I decided on the thin shirt. Just before heading out, I spared a moment to check my messages. Chloe was not the type to be clingy. She was beautiful and came from a wealthy family, the cherished daughter who had been lost for many years before being found and welcomed back into the prestigious Vaughn family fold, a miracle survivor. The family elders doted on her excessively, which had cultivated an undeniably arrogant personality. In her world, people were meant to chase and appease her, never the other way around. As expected, her only new message was a terse, "Fine, just fine." It seemed my actions had succeeded in making her thoroughly unhappy. She was undoubtedly plotting her retaliation. A message from Mark came through. "Liam, you're a grown man. How can you be so bad at taking care of people? Chloe is completely wasted, and you're just ignoring her?" In the background of the accompanying voice message, a woman's lazy voice murmured something indistinct and intimate. You could tell she was lying down as she spoke. I had assumed they had gone to a hotel room. But when I opened the video Mark sent, My eyes were truly opened. That was our bed, our bedroom. A drunk Chloe stared coldly into the camera, a clear challenge in her eyes. She actively wrapped her arm around Mark's shoulders and, with her free hand, gave a defiant middle finger to the screen. It was obvious she knew Mark was sending this video to me. She might have even been the one who instructed him to film it. Chloe had always been this way. If she felt someone had wronged her in the slightest, she would retaliate with tenfold the force, without any regard for right or wrong, context or reason. She would identify your greatest vulnerability and mercilessly twist the knife. It was as if she believed that throwing a tantrum was the most important thing in the world. Mark's message read, "Liam, Chloe's drunk and she's clinging to me, won't let me leave. Please don't misunderstand and don't be mad, okay? She just has a childish temper. She's always been like this. Please don't let us fight because of me." I didn't reply to him. I simply saved the video, screen-recorded the voice messages, and posted them to my social media feed, making the post visible only to a select group of our mutual friends. The caption was simple. Some people will go with anything. Almost instantly, Mark began to panic. "Liam, I was just joking with you. Why did you post that? Why are you being so serious?" I replied coolly, "Yeah, I am being serious." I added, "Sorry, my girlfriend just died. Seeing her ghost is kind of upsetting." I put my phone down and a sense of calm washed over me. I ignored Mark's frantic, angry denials. I just felt the last lingering bit of pain in my heart finally dissipate. The beginning of my relationship with Chloe had been a whirlwind romance. There are no true fools in this world. If a woman is so obviously awful and transparently toxic, no man is going to genuinely like her, let alone remain attached to her for an extended period. In the beginning, Chloe wasn't like this. She was beautiful, young, and generous, radiating a bubbly energy of bravery and high spirits. When she set her sights on someone, she wanted to be their knight in shining armor, ready to take on the world for them. She took care of the thugs who were following me on my way home from work one evening. She dealt with my overly demanding boss. I thought we were in an equal partnership, but eventually the world ran out of dragons for Chloe to slay. The heroic sword she held so high grew heavier and more boring, until one day she suddenly started picking fights with me. "Liam," Chloe complained in a low voice one night while we were out with her friends, "don't you ever think your personality is just really boring?" Her friends snickered, the one who laughed the hardest, the one who even exchanged a mocking glance with Chloe, was her best friend Mark. That's when I suddenly realized it. They must have talked about me behind my back many times before. While I was trying to build a future for us, hoping to make our relationship more stable and mature, Chloe was treating it all like a game that was supposed to be exciting. Love fades slowly. A breakup had been long overdue. It was a death by 1,000 cuts, slow and silent. Chloe's friends all said I was easygoing and loyal. They had no idea I was just methodically burning through the last dregs of regret. Not regret for losing Chloe, but regret for all the love that had been wasted. Until that rainy day. After a fight, Chloe blocked me, which meant I couldn't even deliver the final blow and tell her we were breaking up. On that day, with a dead heart, I walked away from her party at a club, my phone useless in my hand. I walked through the streets in the pouring rain. I saw a Porsche heading in the opposite direction toward the club. It was about to drive off, but then the car made a U-turn and slowly approached me. The rear window slid down just a crack. Following instructions from inside, the driver hurried out and handed me an umbrella. Through that narrow gap in the window, I saw a pair of gentle, peaceful eyes, the kind of eyes that love humanity in general, but not any specific person. Distant and polite. That narrow car window felt like a barrier between two different worlds. I think I fell in love with Sophie at first sight, which just goes to show I wasn't entirely innocent in all of this either. At the beach, Sophie arrived as promised. a polite 15 minutes early. She leaned against her black Porsche, replying to work messages on her phone. Her eyelids were slightly lowered, but it couldn't hide the gentle and steady confidence in her expression. She was a good person, a philanthropist at heart, but if you demanded her affection, she was made of stone. If you were pitiful enough, on the verge of collapse, she would embrace you without hesitation. But if you declared your love passionately and begged for a simple handshake, she would refuse you outright and avoid you for the rest of your life. I watched her from a distance. She seemed like an untouchable flower on a high remote peak. Sophie finally noticed my arrival. When she looked up at me, she frowned with a hint of disapproval. "Liam, you're not dressed warmly enough. You'll catch a cold." The next moment, just as I had anticipated, her gray coat was draped over my shoulders. The long hem brushed against my calves, fluttering in the sea breeze. Sophie's unique, elegant scent of woodsy rose filled the air around me. I shook my head weakly. "Sophie, my mind is a complete mess. I wasn't paying attention to what I was wearing." She could only sigh again, helplessly. I rejected the plan to walk on the beach, insisting that she get in the car so that she wouldn't get cold. And so, Sophie, who rarely allowed anyone to get this close to her, was gently backed into a corner. She had no choice but to invite me into the car with her. The interior felt cramped. Sophie crossed her legs, and her shoe accidentally brushed against my pants. She froze for a second, then quickly shifted away, closer to the driver's side window. I heard her let out another one of those quiet sighs, the kind that said she didn't know what to do with me. The car's heater was turned on. "Actually, about Chloe," Sophie began, her brow furrowed with difficulty. She trailed off as if she felt guilty, like she was holding a secret that was as hard to say as it was to swallow. Naturally, I was an expert at being considerate and didn't want to make things difficult for her. "Sophie, you don't have to comfort me. I'll be fine after a little while by myself." I turned my head slightly and gave her a small, sad smile. "I've been like this since I was a kid. Whenever something makes me sad, I just need to be alone for a bit, and then I'm not sad anymore." Sophie's hand, which had been hesitating near her watch, instantly froze. Another exception was made for me. She switched her phone to silent and placed it screen down in a console compartment. Those compassionate, gentle eyes looked at me, completely unguarded. "That won't do," she said softly. "Whatever you're sad about, just tell me. Maybe there's something I can do to help." I found I couldn't speak clearly, couldn't even manage to sit up straight. I had to lean closer to her, whispering my tragic story. As I spoke, emotions surged, and my body seemed to unconsciously give out. My head came to rest gently on Sophie's shoulder. How troublesome. After I had finally finished my tale, having conveniently forgotten to bring a handkerchief, my eyes grew hot, and my vision blurred. Seeing this, Sophie also momentarily forgot about tissues and subconsciously reached out, gently wiping the moisture from the corner of my eye with her fingertips. Even more troublesome. When I finally arrived home, I realized I had forgotten to return Sophie's coat, so I had no choice but to hang the faintly scented garment in my own closet. I was just so careless. But surely God would have to forgive my recklessness. After all, my girlfriend was dead. When a sudden tragedy of that magnitude strikes, it's only natural for a person to make a few mistakes. I sighed softly to myself as I closed my eyes to sleep. The next day, my social media post was causing quite a stir. "Diagnosis: he's a total player," commented friend A. "Definitely versatile," wrote friend B. But aside from the few who spoke up for me, most people chose to side with Mark. Our mutual friends formed a tangled web of connections, with most of them linked directly to Chloe. "What's this about?" Chloe said nothing happened last night. Liam, stop being so paranoid. Mark also commented, playing the victim. Liam, why aren't you answering my messages? I was really just taking care of Chloe. Why are you so easily offended? See, everyone is saying you're in the wrong. I laughed to myself. That unknown number texted me again. Okay, that's enough drama. Fine, I'll unblock you. But learn your lesson and stop slandering Mark. But the next second, Chloe was stunned. She called me, her voice full of disbelief. Liam, did you block me? What the hell is your problem? I sighed. The time was right. It was time to reel in the net and cut the line for good. I said softly, Chloe, let's break up. After hanging up, I blocked this number too. I knew Chloe had many other ways to contact me, but even a moment of peace was worth it. The moment I hung up the phone, the world fell silent. And just like that, a 2-year relationship with 3 months of it on life support was finally over. I took a deep breath. I blocked all the mutual friends who had talked trash, along with Mark. A long, long time ago, Chloe had been passionate and eager, wanting to drag me along to all her friends' parties and introduce me to everyone. She said she wanted the whole world to hear how much she loved me. But now, a long, long time later, the only result of adding all those friends was the hassle of having to block them one by one. I didn't know it at the time, but Chloe was staring at her phone, her eyes wide with disbelief. In her world, this was just another one of their usual fights. When the silent treatment ended, I was supposed to be the one to crawl back and make peace, just like always, because I was too boring. With my bland personality and my extremely average family background, I could never find anyone better if I left her. Because of this, Chloe knew exactly what she was doing, but she played dumb. She was certain that no matter what she did, I would never leave her. But what was happening now? Chloe glared at her phone for several minutes, but the blocked status didn't change. Anger was one thing, being dramatic was another, but there had to be a limit. Did he actually expect her to appease him? Her brow furrowed tightly. She logged into every platform, checking each one, hoping to find a single account that hadn't been blocked. If I manage to contact him, she thought to herself, this isn't over. The silent treatment will continue. I can't let him get away with this. But unfortunately for her, every single platform, even the minor accounts she had forgotten to block me on before, were all, without exception, blocked by me. Chloe's chest heaved. The next moment, her brand new phone smashed against the wall, shattering into pieces. The noise startled everyone. Her friends who had been chatting, laughing, and drinking instantly fell silent. Jake, let me use your phone, Chloe demanded. Jake stammered. Liam blocked me too. Chloe's expression grew even darker. Mark shrugged. I honestly don't get Liam. Maybe I'm just too laid back, but sometimes I really don't understand the little things guys get worked up about. Chloe, don't be mad. Big deal, I'll just introduce you to someone new. You're so beautiful you won't have any trouble finding someone, he said with a comforting smile. One of his buddies shouted, Yeah, if he's gone, he's gone. The next one will be better. What's he got that makes him think he can make a girl like Chloe grovel? Shut up, Chloe said in a low voice. She frowned and lit a cigarette. The shattered phone had been carefully collected by someone, who placed the SIM card by Chloe's hand. Mark stared at Chloe. In the dim, purple-blue light of the bar, smoke swirled faintly, kissing her brow and the corners of her eyes. Vibrant and wild. This woman seemed to have vicious and bad girl etched into her very bones, yet no matter how many times she lost her temper or started a fight, she had somehow managed to stay with me for 2 whole years. That contrast stirred up a competitive desire in him. Chloe suddenly looked up. Mark, what exactly did you say to Liam last night? Mark felt a pang of guilt. I didn't say anything. Just cleared up the misunderstanding and told him not to be so angry. Chloe pinched the bridge of her nose. The cigarette burned down to the filter. A new phone had already been delivered by someone with good sense. Chloe muttered to herself, "Is that so? Then he'll probably be over it in a few days." For some reason, a strange sense of panic began to creep into her heart. It was an empty feeling, like being lost in an endless fog. She felt like she was falling, about to hit rock bottom. A week later, I told Sophie I wasn't as sad anymore. I could eat again. So I decided to treat her to dinner to thank her for her support. After dinner, I confessed I was still a little sad, so I pulled Sophie into a long conversation. We talked about her hobbies, about the movies we both liked. It was a very rewarding evening. The only downside was that when I got home, I saw Chloe standing at my door with her arms crossed. When she saw me, her face was still grim. "Are you done throwing your tantrum? It's been a week. Why aren't you back at our home? How much longer are you going to stay in this dump of a rental?" She seemed certain I would remain silent, so she used me as an outlet for her frustration. But this time she was wrong. I cut her off without hesitation. "You're asking me why? Because it's disgusting." Chloe paused, incredulous. "What did you say?" "You're disgusting, and Mark is disgusting." Chloe said impatiently, "How many times do I have to tell you? He was just taking care of me. We didn't do anything. That day I just wanted to piss me off." I knew what she was going to say, and I knew that given her personality, she would never be able to say it out loud. Sure enough, Chloe bit her lip and finally just shoved her phone in my face. "Add me back." Her viciousness had a certain naivety to it. "Add me back, and I'll forgive you." I laughed, looking at her coldly. "Forgive me or don't. We've already broken up. Now move. You're in my way." Chloe froze. This was the biggest concession she was capable of making. She never imagined that when she offered me a way out, I would not only refuse it, but also kick her while she was down. Her cheekbones flushed with anger. She grabbed my hand abruptly. "What do you mean? Liam, you're not going anywhere. You're going to explain yourself." I frowned, staring down at her, and said word by word with perfect clarity. "Chloe, you told me to pretend you were dead. Now you're here harassing me. What's your problem? Do you need me to perform an exorcism?" Chloe was defiant. "Why are you taking it so seriously? I've said the same thing so many times before, and you never... So why should I have to put up with it every single time? Chloe, I'm going to say it one more time. We are broken up. We are nothing to each other anymore." "I didn't agree to that." "Oh?" I looked at her with indifference. "I wasn't aware that we needed mutual consent for everything we do." "In that case, Chloe, did you get my consent when you brought another man into our bed, flirted with other people, and put me down in front of your friends?" Chloe was speechless. She was breathing heavily. Her eyes, which had been full of anger and accusation, finally showed a rare flicker of panic. "You're serious?" Without another word, she pushed her way into my apartment. Like a vicious dog that couldn't read the room, she followed me relentlessly. "You can't be serious, right? Liam, without me, who else is going to put up with you?" But in the next moment, all her confidence froze. Because hanging on the coat rack was a woman's jacket. It was perfectly pressed from a good brand and clearly expensive. A coat that was obviously treasured by its owner. The style was understated and simple, completely different from her usual style of dress. It was obvious. It wasn't hers. The room fell into a dead silence. I spoke. "Chloe, get out." "Liam." As usual, she paid no attention to what I said. Chloe angrily reached out to grab the coat. There was a sharp smack. I slapped the back of her hand. "I said get out, and don't touch my things." Chloe stared at the back of her reddening hand. "You hit me! You hit me for some slut's coat?" Those two words, my things, stabbed into her heart like poisoned daggers. A towering wave of jealousy and rage boiled over. Who is she? Who the hell is this woman? None of your business, I said, my face blank. What do you mean it's not my business? We... Chloe suddenly couldn't speak. She stared at me, the corners of her eyes slowly turning red. She took a hesitant step back. Liam, why are you looking at me like that? It's like we're strangers. I closed my eyes and said softly, because I'm tired. I've been tired for a long time. Chloe, you brought all of this on yourself, I said. We are nothing to each other anymore. Chloe froze. She looked down and muttered to herself, Enough, enough, just tell me her name. I'll make sure she never comes near you again. As for us, she pursed her lips. We were just having a lover's quarrel, a little spat. I was a bit harsh, and you just had a little slip-up. We're even. She gritted her teeth. These are all small things. Liam, you've always been so easygoing. Is it really so hard to let it go just one more time? I'm in love with her, I said. Chloe took a deep, shuddering breath, her chest trembling. What did you say? Say that again, I dare you. I said calmly, I'm in love with her. I'm not in love with you anymore. She's hard to get. I'm the one chasing her. Silence, a dead silence, like the depths of the ocean. Chloe felt a black fog envelop her, pulling her off a high cliff. She hit the ground so hard she saw stars, her legs turning to jelly. It felt like something was crushing her back, squeezing all her organs out. She opened her mouth, but no words came out. Her mind was flooded with the memory of the first time she met me, my warm, friendly eyes, my smile, my trusting reliance on her, and my endless love. Who was the one who became boring? Was it him, or was it her? She suddenly couldn't tell anymore. Chloe tried twice before she could speak. Think about it again. You're just emotional right now. I shouldn't have given you the silent treatment for so long. It made you develop some kind of illusion about another woman. She looked up, but my expression hadn't changed. There was no wavering, only a growing, weary impatience. Chloe finally spoke, out of options. Right, you're just upset that another man was in our bed. You want to get even, don't you? She said in a desperate voice. Fine, Liam, I'll allow you one more slip-up. You can let her play games with you, drink with you, stay with you in our house, but only for one night. The more she spoke, the more upset she became, feeling something rising in her throat. In truth, just the thought of someone else drinking with me was unbearable for her. I watched her expression. She finally understood. No one could ever accept a so-called guy best friend. All those things she always insisted were normal interactions became unacceptable and intolerable when she put herself in the victim's shoes. Chloe pinched the bridge of her nose hard, trying to stay rational. But I won't allow you to actually sleep together. I won't allow you to kiss. Anything that Mark and I didn't do, you're not allowed to do either, she said reluctantly, as if she were granting me a great favor. After you've had your little fling, we'll get back together, okay? Chloe looked at me, her eyes desperate, waiting for my answer. I shook my head gently. No, we're broken up. Who cares what you allow? I pointed out calmly. Chloe's face turned pale with anger. She glared at me in silence, unable to accept that I had so casually discarded her compromise. Without another word, Chloe finally lost her patience and stormed out the door. After the door slammed shut, she stood in the hallway, gripping the railing, breathing heavily. Then, a strange intuition, emerging as her anger slowly faded, began to surface. The faint scent on that woman's coat. It was a rare, high-end women's perfume, The scent was very, very familiar, as if someone close to her used to wear it. Before she could figure out who it was, a message from Mark interrupted her thoughts. "Chloe, you okay? A few of us guys are planning to take you out tonight. Wash away the bad luck and welcome the next chapter. By the way, should I introduce you to a guy I know?" Mark sent a picture of them together. On the left was him, makeup on point, handsome and bright. The boy on the right had clearly been caught in a candid shot. Chloe stared at Mark's message. She couldn't help but think about the words she had just said, the images she had just imagined. If, during one of their previous silent treatments, a woman had introduced me to someone new. At the thought, Chloe felt her stomach twist into knots. She typed furiously, "Get lost?" Mark was taken aback. "Chloe, I didn't say anything wrong, did I? What's up? Why are you in such a bad mood today? Did Liam piss you off again?" "You said plenty of things you shouldn't have to my boyfriend behind my back that day, didn't you?" She typed back. She finally understood. A wave of hatred washed over her. Hate for Mark and hate for herself. But she didn't dare admit the latter. "I said get lost, and don't let me see you again. Chloe was just a minor incident in my life. I quickly put her out of my mind. Sophie had already started to habitually worry about me. I told her my appetite was back, but that ever since my girlfriend passed away, I was too lonely to sleep." We were chatting in a coffee shop at the time. Warm light streamed through the large windows, illuminating Sophie's face. It made her seem to glow, as gentle as water. When she heard my complaint, her brow furrowed slightly. Sophie wasn't the type of person who enjoyed gossiping about others. Because of that, she hesitated for a moment before saying, "Your girlfriend was so awful. She's not worth holding on to." I sighed. "What can I say? I'm easygoing and loyal." But I immediately added, "That's just the kind of person I am. I get attached easily. I just gave my heart to the wrong person. If I could find someone who would truly treat me well, I know I could get out of this darkness and treat her just as well." Sophie's gaze flickered. She opened her mouth, gathering her courage, but still couldn't say the words. She hesitated, and the hand that was about to reach out quietly retreated. I watched her silently. I knew what she was worried about, what she was hesitating over. I had to give her another push. "Sophie, by the way, how did you know my ex-girlfriend was so awful?" Sophie finally sighed. It was that same sigh of hers, the one that said she was at a loss with me. She finally confessed. "Liam, I actually know Chloe." Sophie looked at me apologetically. "During the years Chloe was missing, I was mistaken for her by the Vaughn family. It was only after they found her that I changed my name back. But privately, because of that connection, I'm still considered half a Vaughn, so technically Chloe is my sister," she said softly. "It's my fault. After I knew you were her boyfriend, I should have kept my distance. It's just," she frowned, "like a gentle and easily fooled scholar. The way she treated you. I couldn't just stand by and watch. She's not dead. She's just playing with you again," Sophie admitted honestly. "I'm sorry I never told you before. I don't know if that counts as being a little selfish, but Liam, I swear I never had any intention of hurting you." I asked softly, "What selfish reason?" Sophie blushed and looked away. "I don't want you to misunderstand me. I'm really not the kind of bad woman who would go after her sister's partner," she said. I just couldn't control my feelings." A master's duel. The best move is no move at all. I put on a moved expression and gently took her hand. "Sophie, I would never misunderstand you. You're the best person in the world." And she hugged me sympathetically. "Liam, you're the only boy I've ever felt sorry for." Once it was put like that, it all seemed justifiable. Two pure, good-hearted people, unconsciously brought together by a series of accidents to form a bond. Justifiable. Completely justifiable. As we held each other, I rested my head on Sophie's shoulder. My gaze casually drifted past the window, and then I froze. Chloe was standing outside the coffee shop window, her face ashen, staring at us. I had no idea how long she'd been there. You bastard. You absolute bastard. Why her of all people? Why did the person hitting on Liam have to be her? Those words were written all over Chloe's face. She was beyond furious. She had even forgotten her sense of decorum, looking like she was ready to kick the glass window in. Sophie frowned, quickly stood up, and walked out of the coffee shop. She spoke calmly, in a soft, gentle voice. "Sis, whatever you have to say, let's talk in the car. This is a public place." She glanced back at me with concern. "Besides, Liam is sensitive. Don't scare him." "Don't call me sis. Who the hell is your sister?" Chloe was about to explode. She couldn't take it anymore. She rushed forward and swung her hand, aiming to slap Sophie across the face. She wanted to shatter that hypocritical facade, to crush her bones to pieces. But her rage, which had always barreled forward unimpeded, had met its match today. Sophie steadily caught Chloe's wrist, grabbed her by the shoulders, and forced her backward step by step, all the way to the car door. Her expression remained gentle and kind. "Sis, don't be angry. You've misunderstood. Nothing has happened between Liam and me yet." Her tone was slightly reproachful, but coming from such a good-natured person, even her rebukes sounded like she was standing up for justice. "Sis, listen to my advice. Your temper really is not good sometimes. You really need to change." Chloe ignited like a match. She struggled to break free but failed, so she yanked Sophie forward and viciously headbutted her. Sophie dodged, but not completely. She was hit near the corner of her eye. She looked back at me helplessly, the corner of her eye red and looking very innocent. I quickly said, "Chloe, are you crazy? She's such a good person. Why would you hit her?" Chloe was so mad she actually started to laugh. I looked at her and thought, she always accused me of being dramatic. But what was she doing now? The truth is, she wasn't oblivious to Mark's intentions. She just didn't care as long as it didn't interfere with her own interests. I said in a low voice, "Chloe, stop the drama. You look pathetic right now." She stopped laughing, her face cold as she stared at me. "Is it really necessary? Liam, was it really necessary to plot such an elaborate revenge on me? And you, Sophie, aren't we supposed to be sisters? Aren't you ashamed of yourself doing something so shady behind my back?" "Elaborate? Shady?" Sophie's voice rose. She shook her head, stepping in front of me protectively, and explained in a good-natured tone. "Chloe, you were the one who said Liam was annoying, who insisted you were dead so he would leave you alone. You were the one who always bullied him, so your friends followed your lead, looked down on him, and helped you with your lie. This is the modern era, not some feudal society. Liam thought you were dead, so he started looking for someone new. Isn't that understandable?" Sophie continued, "And you were the one who always looked down on me, who never treated me like a sister. So how was I supposed to know that Liam was your ex, and how was Liam supposed to know that I was your sister?" Sophie finally shook her head. "Sis, this was just an unfortunate mistake." Chloe was speechless. We both knew that what Sophie said wasn't exactly a lie, but it definitely wasn't the whole truth. I knew about the relationship between Sophie and Chloe, because on that rainy day, I had walked back and overheard her friends mocking me, and I also heard Sophie defending me. She had called Chloe sis, only to be met with more passive-aggressive remarks. But Chloe had never told me about Sophie's existence. So, on the surface, things were exactly as Sophie described. Not a scheme, not shady. When you added it all up, it was all Chloe's own doing. Chloe couldn't say a word. She laughed even louder. "So you're messing with me? The two of you are ganging up on me?" I stood there, feeling not a shred of guilt, because I knew that if her boyfriend wasn't me, if her boyfriend didn't know how to play the pitiful, patient game, the person having a hysterical breakdown right now would be him. Chloe didn't have a righteous bone in her body. She just thought she was superior, so she was used to bullying others and couldn't stand it when someone returned the favor. I took Sophie's arm. Sophie, you've already explained it to her. If she won't listen, there's nothing we can do. Sophie shook her head with a sigh and squeezed my hand tighter. We turned to leave. Liam! Don't you dare leave! Chloe shouted from behind me. I didn't turn back. She said, if you walk away, I'll really go find another man. I turned my head and looked straight at her, my eyes calm. You haven't already? She froze for a second. I said, at first, you gave me the silent treatment because you were bored with the relationship. But later you started doing it all the time, picking at every little flaw and then going out to party every night. What was that really about? I asked her. Chloe, on all those drunken nights, at all those parties where your friends were constantly trying to set you up with new people, were you really never tempted? Chloe's expression froze. She hadn't expected me to be so perceptive. She opened her mouth and said stiffly, they were the ones who came on to me. At parties, there are so many people, it's crowded. It's normal to accidentally bump into someone. I never took it any further with any of them. Her tone was weak, believe it or not. I laughed. You know what, Chloe? When you talk, you sound either like a psycho or an asshole. I turned and walked away. Sophie comforted me. Liam, it's okay, it's okay. There are plenty of fish in the sea. If they leave, they leave. The next one will be better. She pointed at herself. Her smile was gentle and elegant, but also firm and unwavering. Sophie was refined and didn't like to compete. After Chloe was found, even though the Vaughns still liked her, Sophie took the initiative to leave, which now saved them the awkwardness of running into old acquaintances. She was very different from Chloe. Her friends were few but close, and she didn't like smoking or drinking. Even her kisses were demure, little careful pecks, like a bird drinking water. So I couldn't help but take the lead, wrapping my arms around her neck and teaching her with great effort and seriousness how to really kiss. Sophie's eyes widened in surprise. Oh, you can do it like that? But I haven't learned yet. Can we do it again? And so we did it again and again, until Sophie was leaning back on the sofa, smiling without a word, her ears bright red, just looking at me. She said, "What's next? Can you teach me some more?" I smiled and leaned in close, whispering in her ear, "Sophie, if you keep up this act, you're going to wear me out." Sophie's smile deepened. She pressed her forehead against mine and gently wrapped her arms around me. "Okay then, my turn to teach you." As she spoke, she flipped us over. I discovered that Sophie wasn't as demure as I thought. My instincts had been right. The two of us, we were indeed a perfect match. Not too bad, but not too good either. Not exactly interesting, but not boring either. Everything was just right.